and welcome to Dallas Hoops Fancast, a podcast for Mavs fans. I'm your host, Sydney, and I'm here with my co-host, Martin.
Hey, guys.
You can follow the show on Twitter at Dallas Hoopscast. You can follow me on Twitter at _Sydney Myers. You can also listen to new episodes and read exclusive articles at DallasHoopscast.com, where you can also read the latest breaking headlines about the Mavs and start shopping for Mavs gear and tickets. It's Dallas Hoops. Blah. You know what? Okay, so this game was tough.
It was a weird game.
Yeah.
Like, we won, and it feels awesome that we won. But it was just a strange game.
Does it?
I mean, we're going to look back
Yeah.
at the record. We're not going to remember this one game against Orlando where we only won by 1 at home. Like, what kind of people have we become now? The Mavs start the season 4-2, and now when they win,
they're 5-2.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and in this game they win, it wasn't good enough.
Wasn't good enough.
It's like, what do you expect? You know, these are games that we're losing the last 3 years.
That is true. Luka was getting MVP chants. I mean, what are we really complaining about other than, you know, everything?
It was just a strange game. Like the Magic, I was getting annoyed by them. Like, just roll over and die.
But
I
wasn't even bothered by them because they weren't. It's not like they played exceptionally well, aside from Jonathan Isaac. But
they kept fighting, and it's it's over. Okay, your season's over. Why are you fighting? Just let it go. But they just had to keep on fighting. And we're like, and then, man, if they lost this game.
Oh, my. And it was close.
We might even be on the radio for 5 minutes.
Because,
Mavs Talk might be on the radio. You can just talk over me. It's okay.
Were you saying something?
No, I wasn't. Keep going.
Yeah, it was close because as Vucic, as Derek Harper called him, because Vucic got a wide open three. And it almost went in. And they actually had time for a tip in if somebody had, gotten that. But it's a 1-point win, and I guess in the end, I mean, it doesn't matter, but at the same time, does it matter?
No, like, let's not try to make a narrative out of nothing here. I mean, you're not going to blow out every team like the Cavs.
Yeah.
Sometimes your wins are going to be ugly. What is important is that you won those games.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years, the Mavericks weren't winning those games.
Yeah.
There were some really terrible things about this game. The turnovers weren't good. Their defense, I mean, this is the first time the Magic have scored over 100 points. Granted, it's only 106, and in today's NBA, that's not a lot.
But still.
It just shows something about the Mavericks defense, 19th in the league. And they allow like one of the worst offensive teams to finally get over 100 points.
There was a point towards the end of the game where we realized they weren't going to get stops just ever.
Yes.
So we were like, just keep scoring.
Yes.
Okay, how about we just outscore them?
But the Magic have a lot of length and athleticism. And Jonathan Isaac and Aaron Gordon, for a while, they really bothered Luka. Mm-hmm. But, eventually, he's like, okay, I'm just going to take over, and it didn't really matter.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Isaac, Vucevic, Aaron Gordon is a big guy. Al-Farouq Aminu, we know him. And, Michael Carter-Williams even is really long.
For a guard,
Yeah, they have a lot of length, and they played well defensively. And Aaron Gordon had 23 points, which I don't even remember that happening.
I don't remember him scoring a single shot. Yeah. And then I looked at the box score. He had 23.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But so Doncic finished with 27 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Porzingis finished with 10 points, 8 rebounds. We're going to talk about the Porzingis. Dwight Powell had 12 points, 8 rebounds. The Mavs shot 43% overall, 35 on threes. The Magic shot 49% overall. So again, like, the defense is a problem. But I mean, like you said, it was an ugly win, but
a win's a win.
Yeah, they got the win.
In the next game, we're not even going to remember.
And thank goodness for BAREA because he came in first game of the season and scored 11 out of 13.
Yeah, because the Magic I think had taken the lead up to 10.
Yeah,
and then insert JJ, and 5 seconds later, it's a tie game again.
Yeah, I think Carlisle was saving him just for that moment because it was at a point, in the beginning of the game, the Magic had the lead and they would be up by 4 or 7 or 5 or whatever. And you're like, yeah, whatever. It's the Magic. They suck. But then it started growing and you're like, okay, guys, we need to play here. And that's when he put BAREA in.
I think it's been Jalen started off strong on the season and he's kind of tapered off a little bit the last couple of games. He hasn't been playing very well. He's not making the same smart decisions.
He's kind of forcing it. Yeah. Well, and I don't even want to say forcing it. Just, I don't know. I guess forcing it.
Well, there was one play that Derek Harper was talking about BAREA, how his patience opened up the alley-oop. Yeah. And that's something Jalen's got to work on, is the patience. Sometimes he'll come off a screen and it just pulls up.
Yeah.
And mid-range jumper, which is like the worst shot in the league. And he just hasn't been playing well the last couple of games. And I think Carlisle was like, you know what? I'm going to give JJ a shot.
Yeah.
And JJ's like, okay, sorry, Jalen, but I'm going to take this spot back.
Brunson was like, dang it.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that exact play during the game because like right before that, Porzingis had set a pick and Brunson came right off of it and just took a shot. And if he had waited a couple of seconds and let that develop, it would have been either an alley-oop or at least just a dump off or a dunk to Porzingis, but instead he took a contested shot. Yeah, whereas it was just a few plays later when BAREA came in, and like you said, his patience opened up an alley-oop for Powell.
It was nice to see him out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like he deserved...
Did you cry inside?
No, I did not cry inside. I wanted to.
You do cry during emotional things.
Okay. Why are you doing this to me?
What? I was just saying.
Yeah. Well, you're saying wrong things.
You're in touch with your emotions.
Okay. Well, stick to the Mavs.
Okay,
all
sorry.
right.
BAREA?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it? I mean, did it? Because he's a veteran. He's one of the.
Well, he's an all-time Mavs.
He's the last guy from the championship team. And I didn't realize not only was this the first game of the season, but this was the first game since he tore his Achilles last year. So it was a big moment. And he came up big for them. That run, I think, was really important. And then Doncic eventually just took over.
Yeah, he, I think, had like 8 points or something at halftime.
Yeah.
And starting in the third, he just took over. Basically, what he started doing is his floater. Yeah. And his floater game was just on point in this game. It was going in every time. Even when he was getting contact, he wasn't getting the call, but there was contact there. It was still going in. So I think when he was coming off the screen, instead of attacking all that length that Orlando had, he used the floater.
Yeah.
And, that's really why he's going to be one of the best players in the league, if not already, because he has a complete arsenal of offensive weapons that he can go to. So if you take away his three, or if his three's not falling like it didn't tonight, or you clog the paint, then he'll just go to a float game, and he's got an excellent floater.
Well, and he figures things out so quickly.
Yeah. He saw what was going on. Yeah.
He figured things out during his rookie season. He adjusted part of his game, and now even in his sophomore year, he worked on things over the summer where he figured things out. It's like, some of these things, like Harden just developed a strong floater. Mostly he didn't really have to before, but he just now developed that. Whereas Luka, he figures things out so quickly. And I think that helps him to progress so much more rapidly than other players.
Yeah. So it was a good win, the fact that you won the game.
Yeah.
And it was an ugly game. It was a defensive grindhouse.
But
thankfully,
they won it. I mean, they easily could have crumbled.
Well, it was nice because the same reason why we lost against Portland and against the Lakers is we made poor decisions at the end of the game, or we didn't make free throws.
Yeah.
And insert
the last one
Seth
happened.
Curry. Yeah. He missed both of them. And I think a lot of that, he played the first quarter.
The first 7 minutes.
And then didn't play again. And then insert him back. Yeah. And it's like, you just expect a guy. And that's one of the beefs I have with Carlisle. We'll talk a little bit about Carlisle here later. We'll stick with the win. Mavs win. They're 5-2, tied with the Phoenix Suns. So, we are...
When was the last time that was a good thing?
Probably 05, 06.
Yeah. So there are two... Did you want to talk more about Curry, or do you want to move on?
That'll be part of the whole Carlisle segment.
Well, there are two things that we're going to talk about. One is Dorian Finney-Smith being in the starting lineup, because that confuses a lot of... Like, there are a lot of people that like Dorian Finney-Smith, and then there's a lot of fans that don't. It's really split down the middle on that issue. And so we're going to talk about that and why Finney-Smith keeps getting minutes and why he keeps starting. And then also something that I've brought up a lot on Twitter and that I've seen other people bring up is Porzingis' involvement in the offense. Mm-hmm. And I guess we can just go ahead and start there since the game just ended. And it was a story.
The thing is, there's too many times when he's just a decoy. Mm-hmm. He's just standing out there. And I get it. Because of his shooting ability, he spreads the floor, and it really opens up the offense. And it's really hard to complain when you go into the game as the number one offense in the league, and yet we're complaining that Porzingis isn't involved. Well, it's like, maybe we shouldn't be concerned. We have the number one offense. But there's got to be a way to be excellent at offense and incorporate. I mean, how much better could you be when more of your shots or more of your plays go through Porzingis?
Yeah.
I just think there's too many times where instead of the two-man game with Luka and Porzingis, it's Luka and Kleber or Luka and Dwight Powell, and Porzingis is just kind of standing there waiting for something to happen, and it never goes his way. If for some reason the extra pass is made for every other guy,
but not Porzingis.
But Porzingis, when he's that last guy,
it's like
the player just decided that time, and it's just chance. It just didn't make that extra pass, but there's got to be a way to involve him. And I know the chemistry isn't quite there between Luka and Porzingis, but the only way to get that chemistry there is by playing that two-man game, letting Porzingis set the pick for Luka, do it over and over. You remember, Dirk would sometimes set the screen over and over and over and over again until Monte got the angle that he needed. There's no reason why you can't do that with Luka and Porzingis. Eventually, Luka's going to get Porzingis involved on some of these pick and pops. Now, granted, did Porzingis play very well tonight? Probably not. He was 4 for 14. To your point, you said that he is forcing a lot of his shots, right?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I think are happening, and I don't think they all equal Carlisle being evil, but they are happening, and I guess as the coach, it's something that he should address. So first of all, they play the 4-out offense where they have a ball handler in the middle, and then they have shooters around the perimeter to just spread things out. Well, Porzingis is a shooter, so naturally he's one of those guys that's spread out. And it's unfortunate because that means he's not really involved in the play. He's a shooter on the wing or at the top of the key. And so it's just because of the offense they run, that's where he is in the play. 2, you talked about how they do the pick and roll with Powell, and why don't they do that with Porzingis? And again, the problem there is that Powell isn't a good shooter, so he can't be the pick and pop. Like sometimes they'll run a double pick and roll with Porzingis, but he's the pop guy, whereas Powell rolls. Powell can't shoot, so he can't be a pick and pop. He also can't be the 4-out guy because, again, he can't shoot. So they're like, that's a problem too, that again forces Porzingis to be the guy that's just out on the perimeter. And then another thing I noticed is that the flow offense, I think, requires a lot of movement off the ball. And he sometimes gets stuck in just
watching.
Yeah, he sets the pick and then rolls or pops to a spot, and then that's it. And the only other movement he'll get is like maybe trying to set another pick. And I don't know if that's just him not being familiar with the offense, or maybe that's the play, but I noticed that.
I would say that's probably a result of him not receiving quality coaching his whole time in New York. In New York, the offense was, he just had the ball. You give him the ball, let him go to work, and he's really good at that. But now he's actually has to run a system.
Yeah.
And the system requires him to set screens, to move, to be patient. Because sometimes, some of these times when he sets a screen, the offensive player just pulls up and just shoots it. And he's like, he really didn't even get a chance to get open. Like, you don't even know how the play was going to develop because the player had shot it so quickly.
Yeah. Well, and it's, we're not the only ones that noticed that. Even Harper on the broadcast was saying, I think it was in the third quarter, he was saying that they, need to find a way to get Porzingis involved because he wasn't really a part of the offense in the first half.
There was a stretch there, I think in the second half, where it was a good 5 minutes back and forth between the Mavs and Magic. I don't think Porzingis touched the ball once.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is our guards are too quick to just go. And Carlisle's offense is really guard-oriented.
I was going to say, well, it might be the offense, too, of just score.
But you got to find a way to get Porzingis involved. Yeah. He's not at the point in his career where he's going to be happy with being a decoy.
Screen setter.
Yeah. He doesn't want to be a decoy right now. He's not 10 years into his career and he just is ring chasing.
Yeah.
He wants to have his own accomplishments too. And I think you should respect that as a team, as a coach. Yeah. Don't ask him to sacrifice his entire offensive game when he's 23 years old or 24 years old.
Yeah. Well, and also he's really good too. Mm-hmm. Like it was like I tweeted during the last game, like, why wouldn't you want to run every single play through Porzingis when Luka isn't on the floor?
Well, and I remember Dirk would go through stretches where he just wouldn't touch the ball. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden at the end of the game, we needed a miracle out of him.
Yeah.
And this is obviously later in his career, and he couldn't make the shot. And it's like, well, what do you expect him to do? Yeah, he hadn't shot the ball. He hadn't been in the rhythm of the game. He hadn't been involved. And that's one of my biggest problems with Carlisle's offense is that if you're a big who's a shooter, you're not really involved. You're really out there to spread the floor so the real offense can happen, which is
guards.
The guard and then the alley-oop.
Alley-oop,
to Dwight Powell. And Porzingis is an underrated role man.
He can do the same things that Powell does. It's just, I think, and of course,
but Powell can't do what Porzingis does.
Exactly. And I'm not a basketball genius, so I might be wrong about this, but I think that's what it is. It's just that, Porzingis you could switch him in for Powell, but you can't switch Powell out for Porzingis.
It takes the whole spacing away.
Yeah. But at the same time, they run pick and rolls with Marjanovic, with Boban whenever he's the only big out there. It's
another thing Porzingis has to work on is his screen setting.
Yeah.
He's not a very good screener.
Well, because he has a thinner frame. Even though he's big and muscular, his frame is kind of thin.
Well, and he's got to work better with the ball handler. Because sometimes the ball handler just goes before he actually got in position.
Yeah.
And Marjanovic is so big.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and he knows right where to go. So I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to complain when you're 5-2 and you have the number one offense in the league, pending today.
Yeah.
And,
but it's just something that we notice. Mm-hmm. And this is another thing that we wanted to, I guess, point out or say. It's just these are things that we notice about the game. And we talk about it because we're Mavs fans and, we want to see Porzingis involved. For other fans that are frustrated, it's okay to talk about that. Yeah. It doesn't make you less of a fan. We watch the games. It's something that we see, that we notice. And so we talk about it because I think it's something that should be fixed. I mean even Carlisle himself has said he's got to work to get him better shots.
You can't tell me you're watching that game and I think everything's great.
Yeah.
No, you recognize, okay, they got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And yes, Porzingis shot the ball poorly.
But he also forced some shots because he knows he's not going to get it for another 5 minutes.
There were a few I know right off the top of my head where he got it and he was like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot it.
Yeah.
Because he knew that if he passed it, he wasn't getting it back.
Yeah.
There was one play where I think it was during JJ's run where JJ just jacked it up. And Porzingis was so frustrated because he kept trying to set a screen.
Oh, yeah.
And then he he literally just started running back.
Just turned around and
didn't even look if JJ made it or not. Just ran back. He's like, I'm done.
That might have been, confidence in JJ's shot. I don't know.
That was JJ's first shot. How confident can you be?
It's a car.
Oh. A lot of it
motor vehicles.
Yes. Well, it was really loud. If you ever played pickup game at a park and you're just running back and forth, and you are not touching the ball.
It gets frustrating.
It is the most and
especially
that's what's
when
happening
you see
to
so
him.
many. Well, we're not going to get into.
Yeah, and your experiences
my frustrations. Yes.
And I think that's what's happening to Porzingis. He's getting lost out there on offense because one, the guards are really quick to shoot. He's never the last pass guy. Like, it happens for every other player, but for some reason, when the swing pass needs to be made one more time, it's Porzingis, the guy decides not to do it. And it's like, dude, just one more pass to Porzingis. But if that's Kleba, all of a sudden, they decide to make the pass. I think that's just chance, the way it's happened. But
but it's that, and he's also never the role guy.
Yes,
he never gets a play called specifically for him, like a post up. Mm-hmm. So it's just it's a lot of things that I think it's got to be frustrating.
Well, yeah, especially when it's never called for you. Like Carlisle, you can't tell me that Carlisle already knows what his strengths and weaknesses are. 5 games into the season, never going to run a pick and roll for him anymore because that's just not his strength. How do we know? We haven't even seen it. I know in practice they've run it or whatever, but for crying out loud, at least give a pick and roll with Luka or pick and pop with Luka. Porzingis rarely ever sets a screen. In general, in the game, it's usually Maxey or Powell, and he barely ever sets a screen for Luka. And
Porzingis, I know.
And it's just like it happens, but it's not as frequent as Maxey and Dwight.
Well, he does set a lot of picks, but he's never involved. He's not
after that.
He sets the pick, and then it's really just like for something else that's happening,
and it creates space. Yeah, it does, because you can't leave Porzingis. Yeah, but sometimes the guy does leave Porzingis, and we're still not getting the ball to him.
There's got to be a way to get him involved in the offense. I think that it would help you, and it's like I'm saying this, and they have the number 1 offense in the league, but it's just, I don't know. I'd have to imagine that, especially maybe in a game like this where it is tight and Porzingis is a really good player. He's got to be able to help with that. It's like, it's hard to complain when you just won a game, you're 5-2, you're offensive. I get all of that, but this is happening, and I think it's worth talking about.
Well, it's a pattern with Carlisle. Yeah. The same problem happened with Dirk. Yeah. And it was to the point where in post games, the reporters were asking Dirk about it. Yeah. And Dirk just flat out said, like, look, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to demand the ball or anything like that. Yeah, I'd like to have it in my hands, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then they asked Carlisle. He's like, I won a championship on this. It's like, no, you didn't.
That's how Carlisle talks.
You won a championship because Dirk, okay, and because Tyson and the players that are on the court.
Mostly Dirk.
Yes. So, yeah, it's been a problem for a long time. And that the 4 in Carlisle's offense can get lost. Yeah. Because Carlisle uses that person as a decoy, doesn't use them really for offensive purposes. And Porzingis is not Dirk. Personality-wise. Yeah. He's not Dirk. He's 24 years old. He wants to score. He wants to be an all-star just as much as he wants to win. Yeah. And you got to find a way. You're going to have to change. I'm sorry. Like, you can't go the whole season. I don't even care if you're 20-6. If Porzingis isn't involved, you might as well as trade him.
Yeah, and it's also, you want to make sure that he's happy.
Yes.
So, yeah, you don't want to.
That's ruin what I mean. That. Yeah. You want to keep the guy happy because you want to keep him here, but the offense that Carlisle runs isn't geared towards him getting shots. It's geared toward him helping just other people get shots.
Yeah. One thing I'll say is, so like last year, it took a long time for Carlisle to adjust the offense to where Luka was the main guy. I don't know why it took that long. Maybe it took a while to recognize it and then to figure out how to adjust the offense. That's probably harder than it sounds. So, we're like 7 games in. I can understand, okay, give Carlisle time. Maybe it's just going to take time for him to adjust the offense. But hopefully that happens because,
I don't know. Like I said, it's a pattern with Carlisle. Yeah. He's going to run his offense And the worst part about it, also the best thing, is they're winning.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's going to be hard for anybody to convince him that Porzingis is not happy. Like you could visibly see on that play, he was not happy. And I don't care what anybody says about fans don't know what they're talking about. We're watching the game. So we can see with our own eyes, this doesn't look quite right. I know they won. I know they have a good record,
but it's still
and a
worth
good
talking
offense.
about. Like,
yes.
Fans have feelings, and that's okay. And we're gonna talk about it. Like, sometimes you just need to get it off your chest. But yeah, like I said, I'm okay with giving Carlisle some time to figure it out. It usually takes him longer than others. Whatever, it happens. Thank goodness Luka is a guard, because otherwise he wouldn't have stood a chance. Because everybody knows Carlisle's offense, if you're a guard and you're good,
6 feet and under.
Yeah, he can make you look like a god. So thank goodness Luka is a guard, because that's helped him to really blossom. And hopefully he figures it out with Porzingis too. Because, I mean, yeah, they are winning, but I just want to make sure that Porzingis is happy and involved with and you know, in games when it is a rough game and they are down or they're losing, I hope that he would get involved then, because he is so good. I mean, and he could really help them.
It could be that Carlisle is waiting to a certain game mark, like 10, 15 games into the season, before he starts utilizing him in other ways.
Yeah, maybe.
Just because of the speed of the game, getting back in shape, and all that. And you can see Porzingis is struggling with ball control. Like he had the same problem with the Lakers. Mm-hmm. People are getting their hands in there. And part of that is a result of just not playing. Once you play regularly with those kind of players, you have better ball control, because you know when they're going to reach, how they're going to reach.
Well, and also some of the passes to him, is, I know, especially tonight, were not great passes. And I think that's, again, also just chemistry of where he needs to catch. Like, where is his pocket? You know, where does he like to get it? And I think that's part of just everybody figuring it out too. So
another problem I have is Curry. And, you know, just for the record, I don't want any other coach than Carlisle. But at the same time, Carlisle really frustrates me with his decision-making out on the court. Only because he's just not a player's coach.
Yeah, like, well, he's a coach's coach. Yeah, that's what everyone says.
But that's really frustrating if you're a player. Yeah. Like Curry, he started the game because he didn't come out with 15 points in the first 5 minutes of the game. Didn't see the court again until the last 6 seconds or whatever of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, I understand players sometimes don't start off the right way. And Luka is a prime example of that. But as the game goes on, he might have come out of it and adjusted and maybe got some open shots. But, you know, once he decided that wasn't working, he moved on, and Seth never saw the court again.
Until the end, when he missed.
When he missed both free throws.
The 2 missed free throws, you got to make those free throws, like, regardless of when the last time you played. But at the same time, it's hard to not play for 40 minutes and then shoot 2 free throws with 6 seconds left in the game. So yeah, I mean, what was unexpected is BAREA coming in and playing great. Jackson also had he was a spark plug for a while. I think it just kind of shook up the rotations a little more than expected. But I know what you mean.
And there's times even like Porzingis and Luka, sometimes they've just been on the bench forever.
Yeah, they'll go out forever,
And they had that one shot of Porzingis where he got taken out of the game, and he's just confused. Like, what did I do? Yeah, but that's just Carlisle. He's gonna, see who's out there on the court. He's gonna check his stats and then
analytics.
Yes.
Yeah. So let us know what you think about that. I know other people have commented and tweeted about Porzingis being a part of the offense. So I know other people are noticing it. Let us know what you think or what's causing it. Is it a problem? Do you think it's not a problem? I don't know why, but
I mean, it's definitely a problem. Yeah, it needs to be resolved.
But, let us share your point of view, again, on Twitter at DallasHoopsCast, or me on Twitter at _Sydney Myers. The last thing I wanted to go into, so Dorian Finney-Smith started in this game, and we've said it before, we're not the biggest fans of Dorian Finney-Smith. Other people, when the starting lineup came out, it was like, what the heck is going on? Why does he keep starting? So I wrote an article. It's on DallasHoopsCast.com because I was like, okay, I just don't see it with Finney-Smith. I don't think he should be playing at all. But he's not just playing, he's starting games. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to dig in and figure out what the Mavericks see in Dorian Finney-Smith. And so in this article, I broke it down by defense and offense. The first part I looked at was defense. That's what we're going to talk about here. And then you can read the article to see what I found about his offense. So it turns out that when you dig into the advanced analytics, Dorian Finney-Smith is actually a very good defender, which is hard for me to say because I never saw that on the court, which is fine. I mean, it's like I'm not a basketball savant or anything, so I didn't see it. But like last year, his defensive rating was 108.7, which was in the same range as Ben Simmons, Clint Capella, Patrick Beverley, Klay Thompson, and Jimmy Butler. So again, like really good defenders. He's right there. Last year, opponents' field goal percentage dropped 2.4% when he guarded them, which again was in the same range as Anthony Davis, Serge Ibaka, Klay Thompson, Joel Embiid. He's also a really good rebounder on par with like Kevin Durant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Chris Middleton. So like all of the advanced analytics show that he's actually a very good defender, which I never saw that before.
Well, it made me think of a football team's defense that is really good, but they don't ever get turnovers.
Yeah.
So they hold teams to low points and low yardage, but they never get a turnover. So you never notice really how good they are. And it's like, there's times where DeLon will get a steal or Seth Curry would get a steal. Or like, man, they're better defenders than Dorian because they're actually making plays out there. But Dorian's out there, you don't even notice, but he's actually impacting it. Yeah. Impacting the game.
Yeah. So, and like, I'm one of those people that just didn't see it, but he's literally on par with some of the best defenders in the league. Patrick Beverley, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis. His defensive rating when he's guarding opponents, their field goal percentage drops. He's not Giannis. You know, like Giannis, his differential percentage, so what the opponent's field goal percentage drops by how much, that's at negative 6.5. So it's just like skyrocketing. But he was Offensive Player of the Year. So I mean, he's not at that level, but he's still a very good defender and a very good rebounder. And one reason is because of his physical tools. So I didn't realize this. He has almost a 7-foot wingspan, which means by his height and wingspan, he can reach up nearly 9 feet just by standing and raising his arms. So you can imagine in terms of like defending at the rim.
I can't even jump up and touch 9 feet.
It's extremely valuable. And then he also has large hands. So his hand length is 9 inches. Kawhi Leonard, who has like the most giant hands ever, his hand length is 9.75 inches. So Kawhi Leonard's hands are less than an inch longer than Dorian Finney-Smith's. Yeah.
But when you think about that, that's pretty ridiculous. But anyways, back to Dorian here.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's got a 7-foot wingspan. And if you look at in this article, I also have his stats on like his lane agility test at the draft combine, his standing reach. He has a higher vertical leap than standing vertical than Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler, Danny Green. I mean, he's very long and he's very athletic. And so for that reason, he's able to stay in front of either guards or bigs. He's able to get his hands in passing lanes or just to swipe the ball away from his defender. And I have clips in here of defensive plays, but like I was surprised. I was never really impressed by his defense, but when I dug into the numbers and looked at the film, I was like, you know what? He's actually a good defender.
The problem is...
Yeah. The problem is his offense. And I'm not going to go into that here because, again, it's more analytics and there's also film here. But he's basically, like you've said, he's a 0 on offense. He's actually worse than a 0 on offense.
I think we're just going to have to get used to Dorian starting. And I actually like the starting lineup, the one they ran tonight. they did a couple of games earlier with Seth and Dorian out there. I think it's a good mixture of shooting,
offense and defense. Yeah.
So,
well, and that's the thing is like, so my conclusion was like, I get it. He's a good defender, but he is still actually terrible on offense. And I think they're just hoping he can, develop into a legit 3-and-D guy. And 2, I think Carlisle just has enough faith in the rest of the team offensively that he's okay with what Dorian lacks.
One thing I will say about him is that he always seems to get a big offensive rebound when you just needed one.
Yeah.
And he did one again tonight. He does it all the time. And it's just when you need that offensive rebound, he happens to get it for you. So he is a really good offensive rebounder and just rebounder in general, probably because of his length and his anticipation.
I talked about his rebounding in the article because I watched a lot of film on that. When I watched the film, I wasn't as impressed by his rebounding when you see why he gets a lot of his rebounds and how he gets them, which I explain in the article. But he is a good rebounder. And for whatever reason why he gets it, it doesn't matter. The fact is he's a good rebounder. And like you said, he gets those big rebounds. And actually, so as his shooting is absolutely atrocious and you'll see that. But this year, he made that big shot against the Lakers.
And he had a big one
tonight. Now, I mean, he's still not good and it's a very small sample size, but if he does get better at shooting, which is all they're asking him to do, he could be a valuable player.
Derek Harper said as much in the podcast. I'm in the podcast.
I was like,
during the game.
That's a podcast.
He said if Dorian can hit his shot consistently, they wouldn't be able to take him off the court.
Yeah.
Because his defense and his intangibles, the other things that he does. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we're just going to have to get used to it. As far as defense, he is the best defender on the team.
Yeah. And I know I don't always see it. And even now when I'm watching, I don't see it. And a lot of times it's because he'll be guarding a perimeter player who's just, smaller and quicker than he is. And so a lot of times he does get beat and you see that and you're like, what the heck? I thought he was locked down, never get past the 3-point line. But the fact is, even when he gets beat, because he's so long and agile, he can still affect what that player does, whether it's driving or passing or whatever it is, he can still recover and affect that player and make a play defensively because of his physical tools. So it's like, yeah, when you watch it, it doesn't look impressive, but when you really dig in and analyze the film, it's like, you know what? He does do a lot of smart things offensively. As long as he doesn't dribble, he's okay. If he starts dribbling, it's like, crap, that's probably going to be a turnover. But as long as he doesn't dribble, he's okay out there. So anyways, the whole article is on DallasHoopsCast.com. You can read it. I dig more into defense. Like I said, there's clips of defense in games and then offense and just why he's atrocious offensively. So, I mean, we were kind of right halfway because
I said, is how much of a negative on offense is he?
Yeah.
Is it worth the defense? And
so here's the summary. As good as he is defensively, and the analytics are he's so good defensively, he has a negative net rating. That's how bad he is offensively, that for all of his defense, he's still a negative. So anyway, you can read the full article and it goes into offense and all of that. It's on DallasHoopsCast.com. I think that's it. I mean, it was an ugly win, but it's
one thing I wanted to, if you get a chance to see that Porzingis behind the back pass, for some reason, it didn't get a lot of love.
I think Ben was the only one that noticed it.
It was just like, oh, cool. But it's one of the best passes of the season. And he got the ball midair and swung it behind his back to Powell. It was a beautiful pass. If that were LeBron James, everybody would be losing
their minds right now.
And it's like they didn't even notice it happened during the game.
I guess because it was so quick. But another reason why I liked it is because he hadn't, we just talked about how he's not really a large part of the offense.
I didn't know he had that in his game.
Well, it was such an unselfish play is why it stood out to me. Considering kind of the struggles he's had offensively, to make that kind of a pass, I liked seeing that. So anyways, that's it. When's their next game?
Friday, Knicks.
The Knicks, yeah. So
it'd be a nice game
yeah.
to get him involved in that one.
Yeah. Dennis Smith Jr. will not be playing in that game.
Yeah.
But hopefully the game that they go to New York, that's November 13th or 14th.
Yeah, like a couple weeks.
Yeah, we have that on our list, or you have that on your list of the top 5 most important games this month. That's also on DallasHoopsCast.com. It's a plug.
Nice.
Your face.
Yeah.
It was smooth. I'm smooth. Yeah, so that's on the list of the most important games because obviously, and that would be a fun game to get Porzingis just like 30 shots and just let him.
At least just make him happy.
Yeah,
one of these games be nice to go for 40.
He wants to have a big game in that game.
At the same time, he's not going to really make it about him.
No.
But he is a young person. Like he's still a kid.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that because he looks like a grown man. There's 7'3" out there, but he's just a kid.
He's 24. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just it's good to win.
Mm-hmm.
Try to enjoy the fact that we have a winning record.
5-2.
Try to enjoy the fact that we have the next best player in the league in
MVP.
Luka, future MVP of the league.
We in the playoffs.
Try to enjoy those things and just hope that Carlisle will figure all this out and they'll be so much more dominant than what they can be now.
Yeah.
Those are my final thoughts.
Game ball. Remember? You want to do a game ball.
Well, I know we said, okay, we can't give it to Porzingis or Luka.
Well, because we assumed Porzingis would be dominating and getting 30 points a night.
Game ball goes to JJ.
There you go.
JJ.
There you go.
Yep. That's BAREA if you didn't know.
There are 2 JJs with Justin Jackson.
No, it's definitely JJ BAREA tonight. First game playing of the season. And helped them come back from a 10-point deficit. 3 straight threes. So JJ gets game ball tonight.
My game ball goes to Seth Curry.
For the 6 minutes and then the 2 missed free throws.
It was 7 minutes. And also, I appreciated the 2 missed free throws because it made the end more exciting. And I think he has a knack for showmanship. Okay. So, let us know who your game ball goes to. Tweet us on Twitter at DallasHoopsCast or me at _Sydney Myers.
Or
Martin is seriously considering joining Twitter. Maybe by the time you join Twitter, people won't even be on Twitter anymore. They'll be on something else. Yeah. And Marty will be like, I joined Twitter. Anyways, send us a message on Twitter. Listen to new episodes, read this article on Dorian Finney-Smith and other exclusive articles on DallasHoopsCast.com. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much everywhere else. Leave a rating or review if you like it. I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Listening. We really do appreciate it. I'm gonna go to bed now.
It's late.
We'll see you guys later. Bye.
In this little shop of horrors, not promised in this little shop of horrors. Don't promise tomorrow in